Folks, welcome back on a Tuesday night here in Anchorage, Alaska. Jeff Landfield here coming to you live from my studio here in Anchorage. A few things I want to talk about today. First, I want to thank our sponsors. I want to thank Jonathan Quick down in the Kenai for being a great sponsor of Landmine Live. John supports a great longtime sponsor of Landmine Live show we're doing here. So I want to thank John Quick and the Kenai for being a sponsor. And also Ryan Sheldon, newer sponsor from Talkeetna's Landing. He's got a great kind of cabin situation there in Talkeetna. It's a great place to get away for long winters. You know, Talkeetna is great if you're cross-country skiing, fat tire biking on sled dogs, checking out the mountain. Just want to get away, take a little trip. Starting at $99 a night. So it's talkeetnalanding.com. Ryan Sheldon, he's another one of our sponsors. So I really want to thank Ryan Sheldon and John Quick for being a sponsor. If you want to sponsor the Landmine live stream or the podcast or anything I'm doing, get a hold of me. If you want to make a one-time or monthly recurring donation to the Landmine, you can do that at alaskalandmine.com/subscribe. Really appreciate your support. I'm doing this here and be going back to Juneau in a few months for the start of the legislative session, which is January 20th. So a few things I want to talk about. The first one is involving the state Senate. Now that Shelley Hughes resigned last week, kind of what that means going forward, and also the Mike Shower resignation, which happened 2 weeks ago, and the process the Republicans have taken to send some names to the governor. We're almost positive it's going to be George Rauscher. But I want to talk about both of those. And then also I'm going to talk about Dorene Lorenz, who, if you've been around Alaska politics at all, you probably have heard of her, come across her. She ran for the Juneau Assembly a year or two ago. Absolute crazy person. And something kind of came to me, a tip about something she had posted, I guess, about a trip to Switzerland with the State Human Rights Commission. She's the chair of that commission. And it just gets pretty weird from there. So I'm going to talk about that after I talk about the state Senate stuff. So last week, Shelley Hughes resigned, announced her resignation. She had a press conference downtown. And it was kind of a weird press conference because it was in this building on like 8th and B. And I've never been in the building before. It's like an office building. And yet like it was locked and somebody had to let us in. And then it was this elevator. And there was all these kind of campaign team and supporters of hers. And they were like 20 minutes late starting, and then she started and did the normal kind of, here I am, I'm running for the governor, and I'm resigning my Senate seat. And then instead of taking questions, and there was like an ADN person there and a KTUU person there, and I think maybe a public media person, there was 2 or 3 reporters there. I was there. Her campaign manager got up, Jared Godfrey, who used to be involved in the Violent Crimes Compensation Board. You might remember he was a big supporter, kind of buddies with Amanda Price when she was Dunleavy's first public safety commissioner back in 2019. So I didn't even know he was still around, but he's the campaign manager. He spoke for, not a short period of time. And then the deputy campaign manager, her name's Sammy. I've met her a few times. She knows some people that I know, and she's, moved up here, I'm not sure how long ago, and she had some national security background. Then she spoke. And then Nikki Rose's husband, forget his name, but if you know Nikki Rose, anybody in politics who have been around for a while knows about her. He's the campaign chair. He spoke. So it was like Shelley and then Jared Godfrey and then Sammy and then this Nikki Rose husband guy. And this took like 30 or 40 minutes. And by the time it was done, the reporters had left. I just wanted to ask her about her resignation and the timing of that, regarding Mike Shower's resignation and the confirmation vote, which I'll get to in a second. So it was kind of bizarre. I don't know. It was kind of a weird press conference. But she resigned as of last week, and now her seat's vacant. So the way it works, and I've covered this many times before talking about this because it was pretty clear months ago that Shower and her were going to resign to run for. She's running for governor. He's running for lieutenant governor with Bernadette Wilson. Governor has 30 days to appoint a replacement for the vacancy. So 30 days from the vacancy. So in Shower's case, the Republicans in the districts, the Kevin McCabe and the George Rauscher district, those are the ones that make up that Senate district. They met last week in Big Lake, and they sent 3 names to the governor. It's George Rauscher, Kevin McCabe, Rip McCabe, and then Ryan Sheldon. Oh, one of our sponsors here, Ryan Sheldon. Talkeetna's Landing, Talkeetna unrelated to this, but his name went as well. And other people applied, like Todd Smolden. He works for the governor. He got a few votes. Steve Menard, which is odd because last year he ran against Lexi Moore, and that's a different Senate district. So I don't know what he's doing. I think he says he lives in this district. So if he filed to run for the House, I don't know if I don't think he can run against Alexei because now he's saying he lives in that Senate district, which is a different. Alexei is in Rob Yunt's Senate district. So he didn't get very many votes, and there was like one more person. Anyways, the top vote getters were McCabe, Rauscher. I think they had the same number. Doug Massey applied for it too. He's running for something. He's either running for the Senate seat or the McCabe seat. He hasn't said, but he got like hardly any votes. So these names go to the governor. The governor has to choose one of the names by December 3rd. That's 30 days from the vacancy. But what's interesting is once that person is chosen, they have to be confirmed by a majority of Republicans in the Senate, not minority Republicans, because there was 6 members in the minority. Now there's 4 that Shelley Hughes and Mike Shower are gone. It's all the Republicans, and there's 5 Republicans in the majority. So if Shelley would have not resigned until Shower's person replacement was picked, she'd be another vote. Now it wouldn't make a huge difference because if it's 5 and 5, let's say if all the minority voted yes and for some reason all the majority voted no, it'd be 5-5, it'd be a tie. But now she's gone, there's 9. So even if all 4 minority Republicans vote for the replacement, and there's been some chatter that some people might not want to vote for Rauscher. I've been hearing a lot of chatter. It's not really, it's done kind of in secret. There's a meeting. It's a Gary Stevens told me when they do it, it's going to be a kind of a vote you write down. It's going to be a secret ballot. So even if all 4 minority members vote yes, they need at least 1 majority member, whether it's Gary Stevens, Bert Stedman, Kathy Giesel, Bjorkman, or Kelly Merrick. One of them has to vote yes. Now, if one of the minority Republicans, let's say Rob Yunt, were to not vote for, or Rob Myers were to not vote for one of the, and let's just say it's Rob Yunt, he were to not vote for somebody, then 2 of the majority members, Republicans, would have to vote to confirm this replacement. So the math is a little bit, it's tricky. They need somebody, at least 1, maybe more, in the majority Republicans to vote for the replacement. So it's 30 days to appoint. So Dunleavy has until December 3rd to appoint the replacement. But there's nothing that says when the Republicans have to vote to confirm the person. So this is where it gets a little bit interesting. If they wait, let's say if he appoints them this week, next week's Thanksgiving, maybe they do it, maybe they do it the week after, so maybe it happens quickly. But Gary Stevens told me he wants it to be in person, secret ballot. They want to interview the candidate or the replacement before they vote. Everybody has to come to Anchorage. It'll probably be in Anchorage. Let's say they wait till, mid-December. Let's say it's December 10th. Okay, so then George Rauscher, let's say if it's George Rauscher, let's say he gets confirmed. His House seat's vacant. Now that triggers a process to replace George Rauscher. And they're going to have to meet the district. They're going to get together, send the names, send 3 names to the governor, up to 3 names. The governor doesn't have to choose from those names, but it's a Republican governor and it's Republican legislators. They aren't going to get sideways, and he's not going to kind of go off list or just pick somebody without he's going to let the Republicans do their process. So if George were to, let's say, December 10th, maybe it's December 5th, whatever, 30 days, right? Let's say they go through the process. It's Christmas time, it's holidays. They send the governor the names. Then the House Republicans are going to have to get together and confirm the person. Now, why that's interesting is George Rauscher, he's already in the legislature. It's not a big deal. He goes to Juneau. He's in the House. He's in the Senate. He's going to Juneau anyways. Whoever replaces George Rauscher is going to have to, if they have a job or if they have family, they have to go to Juneau. They have no place. They have to find a place. Session starts on January 20th. So if they want to be there and seated by the time the thing starts in January, we're kind of getting already up to the wire here. Unless this happens, Dunleavy could pick somebody this week and maybe they meet right after Christmas, early December. But my bet is it's going to be not early December. It's going to be kind of mid-December by the time that happens. Now with Shelley Hughes, it's even more interesting because she just resigned last week. Those districts are going to have to get together and send some names. Now Kathy Tilton's already running for the seat, just like George Rauscher's already running for Shower's Senate seat. Tilton's running for the seat. Delana Johnson told me she's not going to apply for the seat. She's not going to run for the seat. She's going to run for her House seat. So unlike, McCabe and Rauscher names going forward, in this case, Delana Johnson's not going to apply for it. So it's just Kathy Tilton. So now we're in a situation where let's say if it's Tilton, let's say if this takes, a month, we're talking about, into like maybe towards the end of December. And then they have to, if it's Tilton and she's confirmed, then they have to fill her seat. So that's even more kind of precarious with getting somebody in her seat confirmed before session starts. It's not a huge deal, except the Republicans only have 19 in their minority. And I don't think the majority is going to play any games, but if they were to start the session with less people, that could theoretically have an impact on kind of, until that person is seated, how many members they have seated on like the Finance Committee, for example. If the Republican minority were to lose one member, let's say if somebody were to quit, leave the caucus and just say, I'm not in this Republican minority anymore, they would lose a seat on the Finance Committee. Right now it's 6-5. So it's kind of just getting down to the wire. They both resigned. We know that. The question is it going to be Rauscher? Dunleavy picks Rauscher. I'm almost positive he's going to pick Rauscher. Will he get confirmed? I'm pretty sure he's going to get confirmed. It would be a big, big, big scandal and kind of calamity if the Republicans in the Senate were to reject. First of all, they'd blame the majority. Some people are running for re-election. That could be not good. It's also just going to create an unneeded, scandal right before session. Everybody likes George Rauscher. He's a likable guy. He's very similar positions to Mike Shower. He's been in the legislature a long time. Rejecting him would be kind of create a nightmare. Same thing with Kathy Tilton. I mean, former speaker. If Dunleavy picks her to replace Hughes, I don't see there being. It'll be interesting when the Hughes replacement. Let's say if they fill the Shower seat with Rauscher, and then Rauscher's confirmed, then the minority will have 5 Republicans again. So they'll have one more kind of vote. It doesn't make a huge difference because it's 5 or 6. If it's 10 people, they need 6. If it's 9 people, they need 5. But I mean, every vote does help. So it's better to have more than less. Some of the people I've talked to in kind of the Republican political circles, the kind of operatives were a little frustrated that Hughes resigned before Shower's replacement. But I also think Hughes was probably thinking about, if I wait too long, this is going to be a problem for Kathy Tilton's replacement. If Kathy Tilton succeeds her, it's going to be already kind of into session starting. So I wrote about this about a month and a half ago. I said, the sooner the better, so they can get the timing figured out, especially with those 2 House seats. So that's kind of what's happening there. I want to talk about this Dorene Lorenz situation and share with you just kind of the wildness. So I got a tip yesterday that she had posted a video. Let me just do this and do this. She had posted a video where she was in Switzerland, and I'm going to show this video in a second. But I did this tweet, and I said, file this one in the super loose and bizarre category. Dorene Lorenz was recently in Switzerland for a UN meeting. She was there in her capacity as chair of the Alaska Human Rights Commission. She opened with a land acknowledgement for, this is weird, the Swiss, like the indigenous Swiss, the white Swiss. She's an absolute nut. Remember when she got in trouble for using state money for the Jesse Lee home? Definitely putting in a records request to see if the state paid for her trip to Switzerland. So I've since found out, I put the records request in, but the state did pay for her trip to Switzerland. And this guy, Rob Robiser, I think is his name, he's the executive director. They both went to Switzerland for this human rights kind of high commissioner for, what is it? The high commissioner for human rights or for refugees and human rights. There was, maybe there's some value for him to go, maybe, I don't know. But let me show you just the bizarreness of this video. There's a state travel ban. Isn't there a state travel ban that Dunleavy put in place during session? People are going to Switzerland. Here, you got to watch this thing. It's bizarre.
Thank you very much, Joanne. With that, I want to turn to
Geneva, Switzerland.
Chairperson Lorenz to deliver her remarks.
I would first like to do a land acknowledgement, which is the tradition of our people.
Our people. I don't think she's native. Maybe she is, but our people. Is it Native people or Alaska people? I don't know what she's. This gets really good. You got to watch this.
I'd like to acknowledge that this is the land of the Swiss people who have bravely taken neutrality so that we can all hear
look at that lady.
Speak with strong voice.
The lady's like, what? Did she say the land acknowledgement for the Swiss people? Let me go back here. Watch this lady's reaction. It's pretty funny.
We would like to acknowledge that this is the land of the Swiss people who have bravely taken neutrality so that we can all speak with strong voices, difficult words.
Look at those earrings.
And we're grateful for that.
Damn.
And to them I say Gunish Chish, which means more than thank you. It means thank you. We could not have done this without you. Distinguished delegates, colleagues.
So she talks about missing and murdered indigenous people, and maybe there's some value in Switzerland. I don't know. The whole thing seems. Anyway, so I post that, and I kind of forgot about it. And then today, somebody sent me a Facebook post. I'm not friends with her on Facebook. Somebody sent me a Facebook post that she made formal demand for retraction and correction, false and defamatory statements concerning Dorene Lorenz published by the Alaska Landmine. And she goes off saying about knowingly false, defamatory, malicious statements concerning social media. What I, reposted the tweet, and she talks about, I'm going to show you this article. If you don't know about her and the Jesse Lee home a decade ago and what happened with those millions of dollars, it was so bad, the state cut the grant. It was so much kind of misappropriation and misuse of money. She's given me 72 hours, I think. And then she texted me this, and she was, let me find the text. I'll just read you the text. It's kind of in line with, I should have this pulled up here. Let's see here. So she texted me at 6:36 a.m. I was not awake. Jeff, I am sure you are getting some clicks off your post, and I appreciate you are trying to run a business, but this has gone too far. You take your post down, I will take my post down. I just said, I just said, nope. I don't know if you can see that. I just said, nope. And then she basically sent me the same thing. She posted this bizarre, wild. And then she said, you have 72 hours from receipt of this notice to comply. Failure to do so will leave me no choice but to pursue all available legal remedies, including damages, fees, and formal action for libel. Yeah. This is your opportunity to correct the record before this escalates. I strongly recommend you take it down. You take it. I put a laughing emoji face and no thanks. So that was this morning. Okay, so I want to tell you a little bit about Dorene Lorenz, if you haven't heard about her. Now, she ran for Juneau Assembly a couple years ago. She somehow got on the Human Rights Commission. I don't know how this woman is appointed. Dunleavy put her on the Human Rights Commission. It's something bizarre. So someone told me, I said, how did she end up on that thing? And somebody said, well, it's hard to get people to apply. And I said, I've expressed interest over the years. I'll be on a commission. I'm happy to serve on a board or commission. There's a couple that I'm interested in, and it's basically been crickets. So, I mean, maybe it's hard to find people, but her. So let me start with this one. So this is from a public media article in 2018, and this is about she was really pushing this Jesse Lee home in Seward. She was chair of this group to get this Jesse Lee home saved, and it was like millions of dollars the state spent. And then it says, unfortunately, since the Walker, this is her quote, unfortunately, since the Walker administration, we haven't been able to access funds, Lorenz said. We used to go every spring and batten it back down. We did that for several years and did a really good job of keeping the building dry, but we haven't been able to do it for years. That part about not being able to access funds is something Lorenz has said in 2 recent TV news stories and several times on our group's Facebook page, imploring supporters to call or write their legislators. Lorenz left out a key detail, though. The grants are actually terminated, said Fred Parody. He passed away last year. Great guy. Big fan of Fred Parody. The grants are actually terminated, said Fred Parody, Deputy Commissioner of the Department of Commerce, Community and Economic Development, which had been overseeing the grants. Parody says the grants were terminated for cause. Let me tell you something. I've been doing this a long time. These things they never get terminated. So terminated for cause is pretty much unheard of. It never happens. You have to really fuck up to get a grant terminated for cause. There's not a lot of oversight here in the state with these grants, these nonprofit grants. We just had a series of reporting issues and accountability issues back and forth between us and the Friends of Jesse Lee home, disallowed or questionable costs that were identified, and it became clear that the process wasn't working and we needed to terminate the grant. So we did, Parody said. The termination letter from July 2015 says, it became painfully apparent this project will not be successful. Millions of dollars. It points to nearly $700,000 in improperly documented spending and lists expenses on travel and a film festival, as well as alcohol, an office remodel, stereo equipment sent to a home address. There was even a tub of bikini wax. Let's go. Lorenz has explanations for some of her spending and said she had an audit later found some of the expenses to be justified. For example, the wax was needed to develop a possible lesson on how to not remove hair from animal fur. Oh my God. Sure. So the former executive director once ordered a margarita that went onto a reimbursement receipt for a meal by accident. That was paid back, Lorenz said. But about 15 minutes of back and forth about the state's broader claims that the grants were terminated for a variety of reasons, including a general lack of controls on spending. Lorenz did not have a clear answer. I can't give, this is the best part. I can't give you an explanation for this because no explanation was given to me. Why before? For years, everything was fine. And then all of a sudden, it's not fine. And it's not fine, but it's not fine in the past either, Lorenz said. Parody admitted the scope of the grant agreements allowed for more than just construction costs. And to be clear, it doesn't think anybody stole money. But Parody said the Friends of the Jesse Lee home might have gotten off track with developing a school curriculum that distracted them from the more immediate needs of the deteriorating building. Okay, no, this quote about her not knowing, I don't know. I have no idea what happened. It's crazy. Just, it was good, and then somebody started looking at our money, and it was not good. And she's the chair. She's the fucking chair of this group. It's wild. So this is just that's number one. Now, number two, you may have remembered, this was in 2020. This is another wild. This is that was 2018. She's not, in the limelight enough. She has to do something crazy. This is maybe even wilder than the Jesse. Oh, by the way, the Jesse Lee home has been demolished. Okay, that sucker was taken down. Just so crazy. It's in Seward. It's where Benny Benson went to school. Did the flag, the drawing for the Alaska flag. So then in 2020, this is when Kathy Giessel was running against Roger Holland, who had ultimately beat her. Now I'm not a big fan of Kathy Giessel for a lot of reasons. I mean, it's kind of hot and cold over the years. She was really cool when she was president. Then she got beat. And then she was kind of, long story short, she's strange and we don't really get along and I have my issues with her. But I mean, I'm not going to argue that she's not a hard worker and that she's not, somebody who's really cares and is, somebody who cares about the state and does a good job. So this is a story I did in 2020 to show you the story. Hatchet job against Senator Giessel shows people have no shame. Some people have no shame. We all know politics can be a nasty business. Yesterday, Mike Porcaro and Suzanne Downing published and then heavily promoted a bizarre affidavit signed by Dorene Lorenz. Lorenz is well known in Alaska political circles and has worked as a reporter and wannabe lobbyist. That's true. In her affidavit, Lorenz claims in 2016 during a TV show, you're not going to believe how fucking wild this is. During a TV show interview, Senator Kathy Giessel told her that this was a mistake. A U.S. peacekeeping forces, specifically all U.S. peacekeeping forces do is rape women in third world countries. According to Lorenz, Giessel specifically mentioned that the rapist included Alaskan troops. She's talking about suing me for fucking defamation and libel. Are you nuts? The affidavit, which is riddled with clumsy phrasings and misspellings, is frankly unbelievable. It is worth noting that anyone can sign an affidavit claiming that anything happened. Though the incident allegedly occurred on a media production set, Lorenz provides no evidence that the event occurred. Here's where I say I've known Giessel for 10 years. We've not always gotten along. In fact, for years, she would barely acknowledge me. But her dad was a World War II pilot. This is insane. And this lady's talking about me sending me these bizarre messages and these Facebook posts about defamation. Holy shit. So I have since found out, I put a records request in to the Human Rights Commission. She went there with this other guy, Rob, he's the executive director, to Geneva, Switzerland for a week, airfare, hotel, other incidentals provided. It was just happened a few weeks ago, so they haven't got all the travel authorization yet, but I'm guessing that this was probably 10 grand for both of them all in. Now, I thought there was a travel ban. Maybe it in some ways made some sense for him to go. It seems like there could be some justification possibly about it, but why she went, why she's on the board in the first place is bizarre to me. This is a woman who, when you criticize her a little bit for something that, she has been documented that she was involved in this kind of mess of this Jesse Lee home, she threatens to sue. I hope if you're listening, if you're a lawyer and you don't like me, I hope she finds a lawyer who will take this on. Please, I hope that happens. That'll be amazing. It'd be amazing if she found somebody who would, because I'm not an expert here. I'm not a lawyer, but I've been involved in this stuff for a while. And trust me, I've learned myself, and people don't understand how the law works usually in a lot of cases. When you're a public figure, and I'm a public figure, and she's a public figure, legislators are public figures, elected officials are public figures, it's you basically don't have any protection. If somebody says something, you have to say something defamatory, know it's defamatory, intend to cause harm, actually cause harm. Basically, if you're a public figure, get over it. She's nuts. Switzerland, Geneva, give me a fucking break. So that's the update. We got the Mike Shower situation happening as we speak with the replacements, George Rauscher, Kevin McCabe, Ryan Sheldon. Those are the names. I'm pretty sure it's going to be George Rauscher. Will he get confirmed? Probably. When will that vote take place? I'm not sure. Shelley Hughes now out. There's going to be a process for those districts and Republican districts to send some names to the governor to replace her. I'm almost positive it's going to be Kathy Tilton. Then those seats, if Tilton and Rauscher are confirmed into the Senate, then their seats are going to have to be replaced. And we're getting into January, pretty close to, depending on when the votes happen, to confirm them, if they get confirmed, which I think they will. We're looking into mid-January to even later January, potentially. And session starts January 20th. And it's not just the session starting, it's like the person the replacements, if they have a job, if they have a family, if they have considerations, if they have to find a place to go to. I mean, you don't want to go to Juneau. I go to Juneau, and I've got a place to stay. I've had a place for a couple of years, not the Driftwood, thank God. Clinton Hyde had destroyed that. If you don't have a place, you want to have to go down there, find a place. You don't want to just find a place kind of sight unseen. Now, there is the legislative apartments across the way there in the Assembly building, but I think those are all taken. There's only 31 or 32 of those. So if that works, that's great. But I think those are all taken. So you're going to have to go to Juneau, find a place to live, get settled in, bring your stuff. It's a lot. Ideally, you're kind of confirmed and locked in and done by early January. But I don't think that's going to happen for these two House seats. Okay, so Dorene Lorenz is a psycho. Go to the Landmine. I'm going to play this one more time. This bizarre. I mean, how embarrassing. A land acknowledgement for the Swiss. You can't make this shit up.
Thank you very much, Joanne. With that, I want to turn to Chairperson
Look at all these people. I mean, there's a lot of people.
Lawrence to deliver her remarks.
I would first like to do a land acknowledgement, which is the tradition of our people. We would like to acknowledge that this is the land of the Swiss people who have bravely taken neutrality so that we can all speak with strong voices, difficult words. And we're grateful for that. And to them I say Gunish Chish, which means more than thank you. It means thank you. We could not have done this without you.
Oh, fucking wild. Look at those earrings. Damn. I mean, if I was a woman, I'll be honest, I might wear earrings like that, but maybe not at like a meeting, like a big UN type meeting. Bizarre. Bizarre. Hey, Thanksgiving's coming up next week. I hope you're all gonna have a good time. I'm gonna head out of town to see some family. I cannot believe it's already almost Thanksgiving. I mean, we're talking about after that it's gonna be December. We're getting right into the holiday season, Christmas, New Year's, and then bam, it's gonna be, before we know it, we're gonna be in Juneau for what's gonna be a just insane session. It's the governor's kind of last session. Call him a lame duck. It's an election year. There's gonna be dividend pressures. I think we should get rid of the dividend. I think it's a cancer. But during an election year, there's going to be so much pressure to pay some kind of big dividend or reasonable dividend. Reasonable. Last year it was $1,000, and they had to raid $200 million out of the higher education fund to be able to pay that. There's also going to be, for the existing fiscal year, surely a deficit, which could be in the hundreds of millions. That's for the current fiscal year. They're going to have to do a supplemental budget to pay for that. Oil's been in the mid 60s. The forecast in the spring was 68. It's down a bit. If it's every dollar, it's about $35 million in revenue that they adjust it down or up. So are they going to, raid the ADA fund? Are they going to raid the power cost equalization fund to pay a dividend? A lot of David Nelson's not running for real. I don't blame the guy. He's in Government Hill over there, and he won last time because it was a presidential year. He beat Cliff Grow, who, it's like Nelson Grow. So it was like Nelson won, then Grow beat him. And then Nelson beat him again because it was a presidential year. So he's out. He knows he's not going to win. I don't know why you'd want to be. I mean, I live in Andy Joseph's district. I live there. I've run for that Senate seat in the past. The district changed a little bit after but it's basically the same district. And I've been approached by a lot of people, and I don't want to be in the legislature. I mean, I just can't even imagine, what would I do? Well, it's just, why would you want to be in there? There's no enjoyment out of it. You're not going to get anything done. All this people do is fight over this stupid dividend thing. The state doesn't build anything. There's no projects getting built. The roads are, snow plowing's not great. The energy problems we have in South Central with the gas, we didn't build the gas line. We never got, so Watana built, which could have been a huge pressure off of the gas in South Central. It's like 600 megawatts. We've paid enough out in dividends in the last 7 years to basically almost build Watana Dam, which is 600 megawatts, which is a lot. The cheapest power right now in South Central is Bradley Lake. Okay, it's like very, 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 very cheap. So whoever put that thing in back in the day, that was very smart. So it's like all these problems exist, and why would you want to go in the legislature? Maybe as governor you could do something, but now there's 12 Republicans and 2 Democrats. By the time it's going to be done, there's going to be 20 or 30 people running for governor. And I mean, there's none that are. I mean, if I had a gun to my head, I'd probably I know who I'd vote for, but none of them are. There's no great person who's going to fix the problems and be a leader that's in there right now. There's one or two in particular that I think are the best of the bunch, but it's the best of a lot of bad apples. So I don't know. It's sessions January, and then we're going to be, it's going to zip through. It's going to go quick, and then we're going to be in June, and it's going to be the governor's race, every House seat, 10 Senate seats, the Dan Sullivan race is Mary Peltola, who Suzanne Downing labeled maybe Mary, which I wish I would have come up with that. I mean, I have crooked Adam Crum, but maybe Mary is great. Will she run for the governor? Will she run for the U.S. Senate? Will she keep earning a large salary at Holland and Hart? No one knows. So there's going to be a ton of stuff happening next year. I'm looking forward to it. Folks, again, I want to thank our sponsors, John Quick from the Kenai. He supports independent journalism. I really want to thank John. He's been a longtime sponsor, and I really appreciate his sponsorship of Landmine Live. Also, Ryan Sheldon, Talkeetna Landing. If you want to get away for the weekend, get a little cabin, go skiing, go hiking, go fat tire biking, just enjoy, enjoy a little breakout of Anchorage or Fairbanks, go to talkeetnalanding.com and get a hold of Ryan Sheldon. $99 a night. I mean, mention me and you'll pay like double. So don't mention me, you're right, and you'll pay maybe $99. And then if you want to donate to the Landmine, folks, go to alaskalandmine.com/subscribe if you like the live stream or the podcast or anything I'm doing. I really appreciate your support. There's been a lot of good supporters, even 10 or 20 bucks a month, whatever you can do. I mean, it's, there's cost to all this, and I really do appreciate the support. So thanks again, and catch you guys next time from here, Landmine Live in Anchorage, Alaska.